Hello, welcome to Liz Rocks and Stuff. I'm Liz, and this is episode 134 of What's in My Tumbler. And today we're going to learn about the dangers of tumbling while distracted by fighting children. But first, we're going to talk about Decal. This is the South Dakota chalcedony that is in stage 2, going into stage 3. Kind of excited about how these are going to turn out. They are really looking very good. So the first thing we're going to do, like always, is rinse them off. And then once we rinse them off, we're just going to give everything a check, make sure nothing is chipped or broken. These are actually doing really well. I do have some opal in here just to fill it up a little bit. But opal is a fairly soft rock, and I don't particularly care how it turns out in this batch. It'll probably be okay. Or it might look terrible, who knows. But I'm not concerned. I'm just using it for filler. But we are going to just look through everything. The patterns in this stuff is really cool. But it took a while to get it smooth enough to move on. And it probably isn't even smooth enough for a lot of people because I don't go for perfection. So there are some lumps and bumps in this. But we are going to do a soap cycle with a tablespoon of ivory soap. And then that's going to go tumble for a few hours. Once that's done tumbling, we're going to rinse it off again. All right, after we have rinsed it off, we're just going to pour it all back into the barrel. I had somebody else, a new person this week, that thought that my What's in My Tumbler series was about drinking tumblers, and that just always amuses me. I think it's very funny. And I understand completely why people make that mistake, but somebody on TikTok said they were very concerned until they realized what kind of tumbler I was talking about. But anyway, so that is Decal in stage 3, and now we're going to talk about Feldspar, which I was doing after I was getting onto my kids who were fighting. So if you noticed anything missing, I didn't. And I poured this in my strainer with nothing to catch the slurry. And that made a huge mess that I had to clean up. This is in a sink that is attached to plumbing. So I had to be very quick and make sure I cleaned the sink out thoroughly, made sure I got as little. I have a garbage disposal, which caught some of it. I don't think any or much got into my plumbing, but I had to clean that out. I had to clean off the towel. So that was fun. And not anything I want to repeat anytime soon, because then I had to take that towel out and hose it off in the cold, which meant I had to turn my water back on for my spigots so that I could use it. So yay. I think it's all fine. I did clean it off. It's probably going to be okay. Just not anything. Don't tumble if you're distracted. It's never going to end well. But you know, a bunch of paper towels and some wet wipes, and the sink is clean. The garbage disposal is clean. The towel is clean. And that's just a lesson learned. So if you remember last week, I did use some resin as media in this because it was worn down pretty good and it wasn't filling the barrel. So off camera, I went ahead and took all of that, or as much of it out as I could. So now as I'm putting this all back in, I am looking for resin while also inspecting. So that has a piece of opal with green opal or yellow opal caught in it. I'm looking for more pieces of resin, and I'm also inspecting to make sure none of these pieces are chipped or cracked. And that's the main point of this particular inspection. Sometimes I had to determine if it was a piece of opal or a piece of resin, which ended up not mattering in the end anyway. But you don't want to mix your plastic media between cycles because it can carry grit forward if you're not careful. So that's why I was making sure I got all of the resin pieces out. Well, then this was only a half full barrel. That's too low. So I put it in my 1 pound barrel, which was then too full. So I then went through here and I pulled out a lot, if not all, of the opal because I don't need it. It's just filler again. But trying to find those pieces in this little tiny barrel was not fun. So I ended up just kind of dumping it out and then pulling out the pieces. So I'm pretty sure I got all of the opal out, but there could still be some in there. It's fine. But after pulling all of that out, it's much better on how full it is. Again, you want to be in that, what is it, 2/3 to 3/4 range. I generally overfill my barrels. I'm sure a lot of people, it drives them crazy that I do that, but I get good results, so I don't, whatever. Everybody has their preferences. So that was a tablespoon of stage 3 grit, and not quite a tablespoon of borax, and this is ready to go on with some very big lessons learned about making sure you have all of your setup in place before you dump a giant barrel of slurry in your sink. All right, so Obsidian, again, part 2, the final boss, is in stage 3.5, going into stage 4. So this will be done next week. Very excited to not see Obsidian for a while. Haven't quite decided what I'm doing next. I have a lot of options. And I don't know if I should go to the rocks I've had the longest, or if I should put some effort into cutting up some rocks, which would mean being outside in the cold with a wet saw. Or what I should do. I do have some stuff that is small enough already. But I don't know. I'll have to look through my collection and see what I want to tumble next. But, yeah, so going through here, making sure none of this stuff is chipped or broken. It's doing really well. It's mostly media at this point because I didn't have a whole lot after the last batch of Obsidian. I didn't do a good job of evenly splitting it up between the 2 batches. So we are going to give this a wash with some ivory soap for a few hours. I really need to replace a lot of my media. It's getting too small. And after that wash cycle, we are going to rinse these off again. Had a brief interruption. Had to restart my recording, so hopefully I get this all lined up again, because I still can't voice record into my recording program because it's not playing well with Windows 11. Anyway, rinse everything off. We're going to add it all back to the barrel, and it's with Obsidian. I've said it many times before. I like my barrels to be like 80 to 90% full, like as full as you can make them, and feel comfortable that they're actually going to rotate. So I'm going to add some more media because they just wasn't quite as full as I'd like. So then we're going to put in the water, and then it's going to get a tablespoon of borax and 1 tablespoon of final polish, because it's, again, Obsidian. It doesn't need a whole lot of polish. It's just going to be a waste if you put more than that in. And then this is going to go on the tumbler for a week. And finally, we have the Sardonyx. This is really kind of one of my favorite rocks. I'm just sort of realizing I just like how colorful it is, and it's easy to tumble. I don't know. There's a lot of colorful rocks out there, but this is some of my favorite. But it's been in stage 1 for a few weeks. It's got more time to go. This is a harder rock. It takes longer to smooth out. Some of these I could probably move on, but I'm just letting them kind of cook for a bit and be the best that they can be. So this is me inspecting and seeing what's ready to move on. Again, not many pieces were ready. A lot of pieces have little thin surface cracks, or the edges are just a little too sharp still. Although I think sharp corners could look cool when it's final polish, but I like my stones a little bit more rounded. So it is a personal preference, so that piece looks really cool. But it's all the same rock, but it is a variety of colors, from blacks to blues, reds, yellows, purples, all kinds of stuff. Very cool stuff. And in my opinion, very easy to tumble. It shines up very nicely. All right, with that done, I didn't rinse out the barrel because I knew this was going to go for another round of stage 1. So no sense in wasting any unused grit that's in the bottom there. So we're going to do a tablespoon of borax, 3 tablespoons of stage 1. And this Sardonyx is ready to go on the tumbler for a week. So this probably has a few more weeks to go before it's ready for stage 2. But we'll see. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. And I hope to see you all back next week.